You're listening to Burn Rate and Bullshit, the show where founders, suits, and corporate clowns all get called the fuck out.
You're with Josh Robinson and Mike Nathan, entrepreneurs turned venture capitalists, with zero filters, strong opinions, and a bullshit detector set to high. Welcome to the only business podcast that actually tells it like it is.
I'm a desperate man. Send lawyers, guns, and money. This shit has hit the fan.
Some boardrooms are war zones. VCs smiling with knives behind their backs, investors who call themselves mentors but act like mob bosses. I've seen founders gutted in power plays before the product even shipped. If you think toxic partners are a maybe, you're already outgunned. Today we're dropping the receipts, sharing the scars, and exposing the people who eat startups from the inside out.
Did you ever sit in a board meeting where every handshake feels like a threat? Corporate clowns who call it guidance while setting you up to fail? Power grabs so blatant you need a damn referee just to get through a slide deck? If you don't know who the snake is, you better start to sharpen your fangs. Pour something strong, and we're serving up some ugly truth, probably some big laughs, and a play-by-play of boardroom betrayal.
People that are not experienced in the corporate world and know enough to know that there are boards of directors, I think there's just a general assumption that boards are always a pain in the ass.
There should be, yeah. That should be.
Is it true? Has that been your experience?
So, no. Well, yes, I've had pain in the asses, but generally your board is pretty awesome, and or they can be, they should be. That's how it should be. I think about it like this. If you're not $1 billion company, $100 million company, you're sub $100 million as a board member, your job is to support and guide the CEO, period. It's not to call out where they're stupid. It's not to call out what they're doing wrong. Oftentimes it's a first-time CEO. It's a founder that's has limited experience. And so you're like a Sherpa. You're going to guide him to the top of the mountain, per se. And so your job isn't to be a pain in their ass. Your job is to guide. Equally important, your job is obviously the governance of the company, fiduciary responsibility to everyone. And what I would call it to anybody who is assigning a board or selecting a board, or if you're getting asked to sit on a board, you've got that fiduciary responsibility and that governance and duty to good care to everybody, not just your fucking investment. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't care about that. That actually helps me out. While you can take that view, you have to act and be responsible for everybody else. A lot of even newer board members, or let's call them angel investors or high net worth individuals that want to invest, you got to be careful that they don't just give a fuck about their investment, that they're looking out for everybody else.
Yeah.
So my experience has been, and I learned this hardish way, but I got lucky with some good early board members in some of the early companies they were great. They were super supportive. They're like, hey, Mike, here's some things to consider. Not, hey, Mike, you fucked this up. What are you going to do? How are you going to fix this? It was never like that. And that's, as a board member.
Were those experienced board members, or were they first-time board members too?
Well, here's what they were: experienced entrepreneurs. So my board was made up. I could tell when I had the $1 billion executive sit on my board, they had a completely different sort of approach to the meetings, advice, dialogue. When I had interactions with early investors or other entrepreneurs that have done their own thing and been successful, they're the best, or they have been. They'll tell you some more stories. They'll say, I've been here before. I've not been here before. Those people are great. We had, in a couple different companies I've been a part of, you get a board member who's literally the executive, the VP of who the fuck knows what. and out of a
special
and
projects.
They're like, hey, I need to see the deck 2 weeks in advance. Dude, you know how much is going to change in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I'm going to get to you about 72 hours in advance. The financials.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, right? So it was, and it was all about process, and it wasn't really about what mattered, which is what's the health of the company? Are we growing? Are we dying?
Yeah.
What are the big constraints? And they just were disconnected. And I think when you ask people to be board members, or the people that you have, get somebody who's been there before or had a shitty board as an entrepreneur or founder. They've made awesome board, at least when I have. We use Kippers. Kippers was one of my first board. Brian Kippers, our partner at Exit 156. He was great because he's done it before. He knows where we should be looking for problems or how to get around the constraints.
Do you think that, like, domain expertise is relevant for a board member? I mean,
It can be.
is it a must-have though?
Gosh, I don't want to say yes right away, but
We as investors at Exit 156 Capital, we've got a pretty disciplined approach of, you know, if we don't have experience in that space, we won't invest into the company.
that's right.
Because we want to be more than a check. We want to be somewhat helpful in terms of our background, experience, expertise. And so if we don't know anything about that space, we won't invest into it. From an investor, that's important to us. As a founder, is that important to have that on your board?
It depends, because I want to say it matters, and I want to say I'm going to bring all the subject matter experts in, you know, the best and the brightest. And there's sometimes you just take a check from somebody because you need it. They buy into your vision, but they can't help you with the contract. They can't help you with an intro. They don't know any insider secrets.
They don't necessarily need to be on the board then either.
Well, some of them want you to protect it, right?
Yeah.
Some of them want to protect their investment even more because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
Or they don't know the specific, hey, I want to see what's going on. You have to make that, I mean, there are times when you need the money, and if they're buying into that vision, you know, then to me, it's not only just subject matter expert or industry insiders, et cetera. Where's their loyalty factor at? Do you know them? Are they going to flake out on you? And if it's maybe their first board assignment or they've ever been on it, careful, because they'll get squirrely. Everybody gets funny around money, right? And board members are no exception. We sit on a board with someone who is super squirrely, and you can pretty clearly tell they don't have a lot of board experience.
Yeah.
And they overreact.
I think we've said enough without naming it. It's a med device company. That board member clearly has not gone through a med device approval process before.
Yeah.
You know, you've said before on this show, everything takes twice as long and twice as much money. It's probably 5 times as long and 10 times as much money in med devices.
That's right.
And not having that experience is playing out in all sorts of unique ways for that board.
Well, and think about how it's affecting the CEO of that company too.
Yeah.
How much time does he dedicate trying to put that fire out or to get that
Too
guy
much.
tucked in?
I mean, it's every fucking day.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And you know, as you think about board members, you know, when we look at Exit 156 or even on our personal investments, I want to make sure there's not people like that on the board. Like you're a threat to our fucking company, dude. The more you yammer, yak at, or, you know, come for the CEO, the more they got to put their guard up, and they start even asking us, hey, do you think I'm doing this okay? No, dude, you're fine. Keep trucking. Ignore the asshole. He doesn't know what he's doing. So some of those activist board members who think they know what they're saying, and you took their check, it's going to be some of the most expensive money you ever take. Not only for the CEO or the founder, it's going to be like that for the rest of the board.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be an outsized loudmouth that
That's
doesn't
another
get
thing we look at when we're making investments through the venture fund is, hey, we're going to be in this with this management team for maybe a decade, likely a decade. And I don't want to work with assholes.
Yeah.
Am I going to work with this asshole for 10 years? I think the reverse is true too. I mean, management teams, founders should be looking at that as a litmus test for taking money. Like, this guy's a prick.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking deal with him for the next 10 years of my
How
life.
many people have we, I mean, I know I've ghosted when raising over the last, you know, decade and a half. You just get a vibe with somebody like, oh, he's crazy or she's insane. I'm not taking their check.
Yeah.
I'm just going to politely not call them back anymore. Like, hey, thanks for the interest. I think we're all good. Thanks. We don't want you.
We closed the round.
A lot of big commitments, a lot of soft commitments. Don't want to piss anybody off.
We may be oversubscribed. Don't want to.
Just because you know it's such a thing. And not only just the non-crazy, no asshole rule sort of a thing. I think that's really important. I'm glad you mentioned it. I'm interested to hear what you say about this, because I actually happen to put a premium on loyalty for, again, early stage startup companies. Not a disloyalty to your fiduciary responsibility, but loyalty to the CEO. I just mentioned my previous boards have been former entrepreneurs. And so what you get with some of that is they're going to be a little more loyal to you than average people would be, because they understand this. And maybe it's not loyalty to you per se, but you'd want that because they know you're going to fuck it up. You're going to do something stupid. Likely it's not existential, but it ain't going to look good. and you're going to have to backtrack or reassess or reevaluate. And you want somebody that's going to be like, Mike, this is expensive lesson to learn, but I'm glad you're learning it. Let's go forward. What you don't want to have them is make that same mistake, and now they're looking to cut you.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't get it. Fuck this guy. You have to be really clear when you bring people on that they understand you couldn't be on my board. I'm a first-time CEO or second time or third time, whatever that is. They need to buy into that and not hyperventilate when shit gets tough. And likely...
Because it will. Guaranteed.
Likely replacing a founder's CEO is a death knell. Almost always. Not always. I know of one right now that's not that way, but I know of another one that is the way. You get rid of that founder, so the board doesn't want to do that either. So you might as well look for people that are going to be loyal, that are going to be understanding, they're going to be with you. Even one of the boards I sit on, I'm like the rah-rah coach guy. And there's a bunch of other... Really? Yeah, I believe that. But there's a bunch of other board members that are the subject matter experts. And they're a little bit colder in the board meetings. And I'm sort of like I'm here to support the CEO and the founder. Make good decisions. Don't fuck yourself in any round. Just give general good startup advice. And I'm there for that person. I know if we take care of that CEO and that founder, everybody's equity, everybody's position in the company gets taken care of.
I completely agree with you. It leads me to think too, I don't know if you've ever read the book Blitz Scaling by Reid Hoffman.
Read? What was
Read?
Read?
Yeah. What is reading? I don't know what that is.
Sounds hard.
Does it have pictures?
Yeah. Where the hell are the pictures?
One of the co-founders of LinkedIn, and the book talks about growing really, really rapidly, but and across different companies. But there's this concept in there of founding a company and building a company is not necessarily putting out all of the fires. It's knowing which fires are okay to burn and which ones have to get put out. And that's where I see being really additive, having another entrepreneur or someone that's been a founder sit on your board. They'll be able to guide that founder through, okay, this is the existential threat that must be jumped on. This is really just noise. It's going to be a pain in everyone's ass, but we'll deal with that later. We don't have to deal with it now. And having that loyalty to the CEO to walk them through that and coach them that's where the magic can happen.
The other piece I think about, and you made me think of this, there's an obligation of the CEO, the founder, with their board. You've got to make sure that you are communicating and not ignoring them, right? If a well-informed, well-intentioned board, you're probably going to be in a good spot. If you're not giving them updates on the business, good and bad, to be clear, don't just fill them full of hot air. You need to tell them, ooh, this was a miss. We fucking blew it here. This was on me. This was market conditions, whatever it is. Because you want to make sure you're communicating to your board in a real honest way. I know that sounds silly, be honest with your board, but you'd be amazed. You want to be honest with your board so that you gain that credibility. When you say something's hard or tough that's coming up, they believe you. And then on the reverse is true. When I say something's really good, guys, I'm not worried. This is going to happen.
Yeah.
They'll tend to believe you versus fight you on that instinct.
Those don't always have to be official board meetings.
That's right.
You've been a founder, CEO so many times, but you'll just call people and just say, hey, I got a quick update for you. It can be a 30-second call, 10-minute call, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a formal board meeting.
That's right. Yeah, and I think they appreciate that. What I've seen some people do, and I think this is a tragic mistake, is you start to ignore your board. And then when you get into the meeting, everybody's pent-up tension it comes out, and sometimes sideways and ugly. Like, hey, well, where the fuck was this up to? What do you mean you're out of money? I thought you told us last board meeting everything was great.
When I hear great, changed?
Yeah, what the fuck, right? So you'll get, this is where your board selection helps too, because former founders, people that have exited will tell you, hey, what's your out of date? When are you out of cash? They'll ask at every board meeting. The good ones will. How are you doing with the burn? Is it coming down, going up? When do you run out? When do we need to go re-raise? They'll get right to it because that is likely your most stressful part of it, managing your cash, the burn rate. We've talked about that before. But don't ignore them because they're going to come in super hot in those meetings. And when you want to discuss something strategic, tactical, want to get to the thing in the meeting, they're just coming for you around, hey, I didn't get an agenda until this morning. I didn't see the deck.
Best case, you have to like re-explain the fucking business to them. Wait, what is it that we do here? Right?
I feel like we have some experience there. I feel like we have experience doing that at times.
Why is the P&L structured this way? That's a smaller number. I don't like that.
There it is. Yeah, that number's smaller. I don't want to see a smaller number. I want to see a bigger number.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Good points. Thank you, sir. Oh, man.
Both of us have seen, sometimes together, sometimes in different companies without each other, but we've seen a lot of crazy shit in board meetings. Some of it is examples of really great board governance. Some of it has been just, I'll steal your word, tragic, how the board has played out. What's the first thing that comes to mind of, it was hairy, but the board did what it needed to do? And it was a right example of doing the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, so there's a company I sat on the board on. It was probably the second check-in. It was Med Device. And the founder was, we'll just say obtuse to a lot of things, or just obtuse, period. And he had managed to raise money. It was a great device, great sort of mission. Raised a ton of money, had a lot of people on the cap table from high net worth individuals, angel investor types, and a lot of really good heavy hitters too. So the board was really good. He was the majority owner. I'm trying to set this up for you. He's the majority owner. He controls 3 of the 5 seats. And the senior team comes to the board, not to the CEO, and says, hey, we've been talking to the board about some of the things we're waiting on. We're all leaving if he doesn't go.
He's the CEO.
The CEO needed to go, or we're all leaving. And if they all leave, we don't have a company.
Yeah.
And we could sense some of this, but you never think it's as bad. And you're pretty bold when you go up to the board around your CEO's back to say, hey, we're leaving if you don't get rid of this guy. So you know it's bad. They're not making this up. This isn't some theater dramatic thing that they're doing.
Right.
They're sincere about it. We were on the fence about the CEO, given the late stage of where it was at. Well, we made the decision on the advice of counsel, and we had cause, and we took a vote to remove the CEO. And this CEO was not thrilled about that, and was the majority control.
Shocker.
Yeah, weird. Completely shocked, had no idea. I mean, he knew but didn't know. His people were like, hey, it's either him or us. We did the right thing by removing him. And here's where it gets sour. He controls the majority of the board. He controls 3 of the 5 seats. So what would you do? Well, he fired the 2 other board members.
Because he was one of the 3.
He was one of the 3. He had 2 others. He fired the 2 board members after he was fired. So board member, the chairman delivered the message, you're fired as CEO. He literally you can't do that. I'm laughing. I'm just going to fire you, And so the next day, he reconstituted the board with his lackeys, a buddy and a buddy, or I'm going to hold both seats. I was an independent. There was another independent gentleman. We both resigned in protest. I said to the CEO, there's a couple ways this can go. You have to adhere to this, or you're going to have about 25 to 35 multimillionaire angel investors coming for you.
Yeah.
This is real talk now. You were mismanaging the company, which is why you were fired. Firing the board members that were upholding their duty is even further evidence of mismanagement and self-dealing. Everyone's going to lawyer up. Now that we're all off the board, we're going to come for you. And a day later, he sat down to talk with us, sort of a negotiated piece around, I'll step down. I still want my board seats, but I'll let somebody else run the company. After the reality of it all hit him, it was dicey. And it's a great example of not communicating to your board, not facing reality of what's going on. But it's you might think you have control. You might think you've got all the board seats. You think you can do the thing. And at the end of the day, that's not going to save you. It's not going to save you.
If you start taking other people's money, it's not your company anymore, regardless of how much equity you have.
Heavy wears the crown. If you have control of it, everyone's coming for you. One thing if you're doing something and you just run out of money, it doesn't work, the market's not there, all things. But if you have your entire team coming to the board saying he's mismanaging funds, priorities, he's not being, completely transparent on a few things, yeah, that's cause. You are messing with everybody's.
Yeah.
That's mismanagement. And so even if you have all the control, it still didn't end probably the way he wanted it. But, he's moved on and the company's moved on and it's a great
Company's doing great now.
Company's doing great.
Yeah.
So it usually doesn't always end that way. But that was one where you never want to, and I think that might be the only CEO I've ever removed or been a part of the team that removed them. Because you never want to do that. As going back to what we just said, they're to support the founder and give him guidance. And this was a case where we did that and it was literally ignored. Went opposite of what we said. And literally, and at some point, this is the ugly part. You do have an obligation. You do have to, you got to get your hands dirty sometimes. And it's not because just my investment, it's everybody's investment. And the mission of this company was so amazing, you couldn't let it die. Right? There's some other sad stories around boards, but that's one that hangs with me. It's reasonably recent, but it ends nice because the company's back going. When you go through that, I think there's a re-clarifying of, hey, what are we doing next?
Right.
Most, last. You start to really get your shit together when you have a disruption. And that one was really unique too. Sorry, I'm going along with the story, but when we did that, you had a re-energized staff, senior management.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted.
Well, I felt like someone had their back finally.
Yes.
And understood what was going on.
Because they had been dealing with this obtuse person so long, they weren't getting any feedback, nothing was happening. And now that happened, my God.
The company was feeling, right? I mean, everyone wants to be on
brand new,
like,
they feeling 10 feet tall. Let's go. Now we got it.
Yeah.
Got him out of the way. We're going to do the 3 things we should have been doing, but we didn't do. That's a boardroom battle. I suppose we lost the battle, but we won the war.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. He fired everybody. The rest of us resigned. So it was just him and his, whatever he had in his pocket. We're standing there on the board. And that gets really lonely too. Yeah. What does that do for future investors?
Yeah, well, his management team probably was ready to walk out too.
The management team was ready to walk out too.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of things going on. And you never, ever want it to get to that. That's why having a board is really important. And working with them, it's like getting married. How are you doing with your wife every day? Amazing, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
never had a fight.
Never had a fight. No, we're all doing great.
Communication's always been super clear.
It is like a marriage that way. You got to give and take, and damn it, I know I'm right, but I've got to listen. I should listen in.
Yeah.
And then if the more you put your heels in, the more you're likely to get divorced and or off out of your own company. What's a crazy dramatic sort of story that you've had? Maybe just pick one. I know there's seen a
more
couple.
than one, right?
Yeah, they're right.
There's always so an example of a boardroom battle where the board's on the wrong side of it. Is this I hope, just because I don't ever want to be in this spot again, I hope this is one of the top 3 most awkward conversations I've ever been a part of. Because to this date, it is. And I hope nothing worse topples this off the list. Yep. We were in a spot in a company for a lot of external market reasons. We're in a really tough spot in terms of cash. And we had a VC on the cap table. We had institution money in the company. Typically with a VC, they've got dry powder to come in on subsequent rounds because you're investing in a high growth company that's going to need more money.
One would think.
That was our assumption with the VC that we had on our cap table. And we were in a spot, we needed more cash to keep going, or we were going to have to dramatically reshape the company. Significant downgrade, downsizing. And it wasn't even in a board meeting. It was, because the whole board wasn't there, but we had the VC and their team there. And going through, we had previously, probably about a year before this, raised some money on like a $70-ish million valuation. And going through the conversation, this board member, it felt like a psychotic snap. Just kind of left his body and just went on this rant of, legally it's not structured the right way. We shouldn't have done any of it this way. Completely not helpful, right? We need money now or we're going to go out.
A lot of non sequitur sort of things like, hey, not related to the issue.
And it finally boiled it down, and where the meeting ended up just stopping is, so again, we had just raised within a year or two at $70 million. This person offered to put in $5 million. We're like, great, we got him there. He's like, but it's going to be on a valuation of $5 million. So he wanted to buy the whole company and take everyone out. And it's like, you're missing the point here. Like, this is not...
I think we call that a fuckhead in the business. It's an industry term.
That's a technical term, yeah.
Yeah, it's an industry term, fuckhead.
And then this is, I'll go... That story took 30 seconds, but that was a 2-hour conversation. You and I both walked out of that.
What do you think's the motivation for board members who do stuff like that? Maybe not this one specifically, or...
Yeah, each one's going to have their own, right? I think you can boil all of them down to, and you said this before, people get weird with money. Especially when you start talking, there's, a couple commas in the number, there's, a few sets of zeros after it, it gets real.
Yeah.
And people start thinking about what their stake in it is, what's happening with my investment in this, and not looking back and saying, okay, there's an entire cap table that I have a responsibility to. And everyone thinks about themselves first. And people that tell you they don't are lying. And you should, right? The self-preservation is fine. But when that is the only motivation to which you're reacting to, that becomes a huge problem as a board member.
You sort of failed the first test of, hey, I'm here to support and guide all stakeholders. Yeah. You start failing.
Well, and sometimes you can't know that ahead of time, necessarily, right?
Yes.
I mean, if someone's acted that way before in another company that you were part of, or you had a line of sight to, you can make a reasonable assumption that, hey, past behavior is going to repeat itself. But if you don't have that context, you're not going to know some people are going to react this way until you're in that moment.
Yeah, be really wary when people are professionals at making money that they're going to default to, how do I manipulate this situation to my very best advantage?
Yeah.
Don't be surprised when that happens.
Because it will happen. Not everyone will do that.
Yeah.
Many will. And so don't be surprised when it happens that way.
Yeah, that's sort of the wet behind the ears sort of experience. Like, no, they'll be great. They like me. They're like, they might like you. And they've got other bosses. They got their LPs and their other people they got to answer to.
The bottom line, key takeaway is build your board with people that will have your back, not as a person, but as a CEO, as a co-founder, as an entrepreneur. I've done this before. Those are the right people to have there.
I would agree. That's it for this round of Burn Rate and Bullshit, where the only thing we sugarcoat is our coffee.
If you like what you heard, great. If you didn't, even better. We're not here to make any fucking friends.
Next time, we're flipping the script on startup financials. Why runway is just math, but survival is all about moves, pivots, and with a little market mayhem. We'll break down the real difference between war chests and wasted checks. If you think money is the only metric that matters, you've already lost. Get ready. We're going to dive into what actually keeps companies alive when the cash runway runs low and the pressure turns nuclear. You don't want to miss this one. Hit subscribe, share it with someone who needs a reality check, and don't forget, cut the burn and call the bullshit.
Send lawyers, guns, and money. This shit has hit the fan.